Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So welcome everybody once again to this Friday Krishna Kathamrit session. Very happy to welcome you again, where we simply focus on getting immersed in the name, form, qualities, and pastimes of the Lord. Very happy. I eagerly wait for every Friday to be able to discuss this nice aspects of the Vedic scriptures, be it the Bhagavad Gita or the Srimad Bhagavatam, and which becomes more relishing and more meaningful, more effective, and more powerful, rather, when we do it in the association of devotees. So before I begin this session, I welcome you all once again, and I request you to give me some inputs. If you can hear me properly, and if you can see me clearly, can you give me some symbol or some sign so that I am clear about the technicalities? Okay. Thank you very much. We'll begin today's session by chanting the Mangalacharan prayers. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaha Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guroho Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Taptakanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yat Kripa Tamaham Vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Harihi Om Tatsat. Hare Krishna. So welcome back to the session where we are trying to understand how to increase our attachment to Krishna, where we are trying to understand what is our history, by the way. People call it mythology, but it's not mythology, it's history. So we are trying to understand our history. We are trying to take association of the great characters whose names have been mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Especially, we are focusing on taking association with Maharaj Parikshit. We are trying to understand how to become more respectful towards the holy names of the Lord by chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra without offenses. We are also trying to understand what is the Vaishnava etiquette or the signs of dealing or signs of behavioral approach in the association of devotees on various subject matters. The Srimad Bhagavatam is the perfect setting. Even before I start discussing, I would like to glorify Srimad Bhagavatam. I did in the previous session also. The Srimad Bhagavatam is the most sublime creation of Ved Vyas. Ved Vyas at its best, Ved Vyas at his best is Srimad Bhagavatam. Ved Vyas is the literary incarnation of the Lord, a Shakti Avesh avatar. He's not an ordinary person. When he writes as if Krishna is writing. And after compiling all the Vedic scriptures, he was not satisfied in the core of his heart, and he asked his spiritual master Narad Muni, who happened to come there, that what is the reason of my dissatisfaction? Then Narad Muni informed him, Savai pumsam paro dharmo yato bhaktir adhokshaje abhaitukya pratihata yayatma suprasidati. Narad Muni told him that every living entity has various kinds of prescribed duties, which can be called as dharmas. But amongst all the dharmas, the greatest dharma is to render devotional service, loving, individual, spontaneous, voluntary devotional service to Krishna. Adhokshaja. And only when that is done in a unmotivated and uninterrupted way, ahaitukya pratihata yayatma suprasidati. Only then the heart can be fully satisfied. Only then 100% satisfaction of heart can be achieved. So Ved Vyas was informed this about Narad Muni, and then he understood, okay, he has written so many Vedic literatures, he's written the Mahabharata, he's written the various Puranas, but he has not yet specifically and exclusively glorified the Supreme Personality of Godhead without any motivation and without any interruption, without any karma kand, jnana kand, or yoga kand, simply for the purpose of glorifying Krishna, 100% devotion. That kind of creation in terms of, or that kind of compilation Ved Vyas had not yet done. So because of that, he was not fully satisfied. Ved Vyas also puts down this verse in the Bhagavatam, and he says that yes, 100% satisfaction of heart can be only attained by glorifying Krishna with a desire to serve him and please him, with no other intention in the heart, only for his pleasure. So we offer this session for the pleasure of Krishna, for the pleasure of Srila Prabhupada, and we try to go deeper into the understanding of the various aspects of the life of a devotee from the life of Maharaj Parikshit. So in the previous session, we were reading how Kali-yuga or Parikshit Maharaj welcomed Kali-yuga, or how he did not welcome actually, how Parikshit received the age of Kali. So before we start, can we quickly revise a few points? Does anybody remember what we, I mean, this is not a memory test exercise, but this is just for making the session a little interactive. Would anybody like to say what we discussed in the previous session? May not be strictly related to the verses which we read. You may remember bits and bits from the discussion which had happened, rather. So would some people like to contribute? Some devotees, would they like to contribute what we did discuss in the previous session? Some quickly, can we revise a few points before we start today's discussion? Those who want to speak up can please raise your hand. If you don't remember, that's all right. It's okay to forget.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Geeta Mataji.
Yes, Geeta Mataji, go ahead.
Yes, during the last session, you discussed about how practice of philosophy is higher than learning itself.
Yes, yes.
And how we understand Vaishnava etiquettes through these sessions.
Yes. Thank you.
You also mentioned spiritual culture always continues. And Maharaj Parikshit was always protected by Lord Krishna in both birth and death.
Yes. That's pretty much the summary of the entire session which you gave. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Anybody else would like to quickly mention a few points before we begin? Okay, no problem. Maybe devotees can also try to take some notes so that next time they can easily be able to remember what was discussed. 1 week is a long time, I understand. So let's start to read the remaining verses of this chapter. So we'll read the verse number 3 today. आज हारश्व मेधां स्त्रीन् गंगायां भूरि दक्षिणान् शाराद्वतं गुरुं कृत्वा देवा यत्राक्षि गोचराः. Translation. Maharaj Parikshit, after having selected Kripacharya for guidance as his spiritual master, performed 3 horse sacrifices on the banks of Ganges. These were executed with sufficient rewards for attendance. And at these sacrifices, even the common man could see the demigods. Purport. By His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. It appears from this verse that interplanetary travel by the denizens of the higher planets is easy. In many statements in the Bhagavatam, we have observed that demigods from the heaven used to visit this earth to attend sacrifices performed by influential kings and emperors. Herein also we find that during the time of horse sacrifice ceremony of Maharaj Parikshit, the demigods from the other planets were visible even to the common man due to the sacrificial ceremony. The demigods are generally not visible to common men, as the Lord is not visible, but as the Lord, by His causeless mercy, descends to be visible to the common man. Similarly, demigods also become visible to the common man by their own grace. Although celestial beings are not visible to the naked eyes of the inhabitants of this earth, it was due to the influence of Maharaj Parikshit that demigods also agreed to be visible. The kings used to spend lavishly during such sacrifices as a cloud distributes rains. A cloud is nothing but another form of water, or in other words, the waters of the earth transforms into the clouds. Similarly, the charity made by the kings in such sacrifices was but another form of the taxes collected from the citizens. But as the rains fall down very lavishly and appear to be more than necessary, charity made by the kings also seems to be more than what the citizen needs. Satisfied citizens will never organize agitation against the king, and thus there was no need in changing the monarchical state. Even for a king like Maharaj Parikshit, there was a need of spiritual master for guidance. Without such guidance, one cannot make progress in spiritual life. The spiritual master must be bona fide, and one who wants to have self-realization must approach and take shelter of a bona fide spiritual master to achieve real success. So such a nice purport, and there are many, many points in this purport. While I was reading, I could collect at least 5 points. Let's start from the translation and let's go deep into this purport. So that's how Bhagavatam is supposed to be read. It should not be read like a novel. Srila Prabhupada also always wanted his disciples or his followers to read his books scrutinizingly. Srimad Bhagavatam is Krishna himself in the literary form. The Padma Purana gives a complete list that the first 2 cantos, they are like the 2 lotus feet of Krishna. Similarly, the later cantos are like the later different bodily parts of Krishna. The 10th canto is supposed to be the face of Krishna. Just like without chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra in a focused way, with a lot of quality, one cannot attain Krishna. I repeat, without chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra with a lot of focus and quality, one cannot go back home, back to Godhead. One cannot attain the lotus feet of Krishna. Similarly, without reading the books of Srila Prabhupada in a very scrutinizing way, one cannot have a stable intelligence to always remain enthusiastic on the path of Krishna consciousness. So the books of Srila Prabhupada have to be read very scrutinizingly. Srila Prabhupada has written after a lot of thought and a lot of deliberation, each and every word. So it has to be taken very seriously. That's why Srila Prabhupada went to the extent of saying that my books will become the law books of humanity for the next 10,000 years. Now, a law book is a law book. Law book is not something which is to be taken casually. It has to be taken very, very seriously. So let's take each and every word of this translation and purport very seriously. So, Kshatriyas should always work under the guidance of the Brahmanas. As I was saying, that the decline of the Vedic culture did not, many people say that the decline of the Vedic culture started when Maharaj Parikshit misbehaved with a particular sage, Shamika Rishi. But that is not the case. The decline of the Vedic culture started, especially in this Kali Yuga, started with the Brahmanas. Kali Yuga went and corrupted the mind of a Brahmana first, whose name was a small Brahmana boy called Shringi, who exercised his power, who exercised his Brahmanical ability without caution, without knowing, like they say, with great power comes great responsibility. So without being responsible, without being accountable, he used his power. Why? Because his mind was corrupted by Kali Yuga. And because Brahmanas fell down, that led to a serious loss of a great saintly king like Maharaj Parikshit. And later on, Kshatriyas also, they started falling down. So the descent of, or the ascent of Kali Yuga started with the descent of the Brahmanas and not the Kshatriya class. But as a matter of fact, the Kshatriyas or administrators should always be under the guidance of the Brahmanas. In every society where you go, you always find four kinds of people. Chatur Varna Maya Shrishtam Guna Karma Vibhagasha. Krishna says. Krishna doesn't say Janma Janma Vibhagasha. He says Guna and Karma Vibhagasha. Of course, the kind of work which you have done in your previous lives decides your Janma. The Bhagavad Gita, some devotees can note down, Bhagavad Gita chapter 6, shloka number 37 to shloka number 42, they tell you how your activities decide your next birth. However, simply because I have taken birth as a Brahmana, I can be sure that I've acted like a Brahmana in my previous lives. But just because I've taken birth as a Brahmana doesn't mean that I should get the respect of a Brahmana throughout my life. It also depends on my guna and my karma. Just like when people apply for job applications or when they apply for a job, some people today in the audience are HRs, they may know that just like a resume cannot be trusted fully, similarly, the birth of a person can also not be trusted fully. So one has to show how worth they are. So therefore, Krishna says, Guna Karma Vibhagasha. There have been instances where a person has been born as a Shudra, but he showed the qualities of a Brahmana, so they have been accepted as a Brahmana. Lord Chaitanya made Haridas Thakur as the Namacharya. And Rup and Sanatan, who had been rejected by the Brahminical society of those days, were made into the principal students who were responsible for excavating the pastime places in Vrindavan. So the point which I'm trying to say is that administrators, Kshatriyas, they are always meant to be guided by the Brahmanas. And wherever you go in this world, or rather in this universe, you'll always find these four clans of people. Of course, in different planetary systems, they are called in different ways, but essentially Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. If you go to the different Varshas of the Bhumandala, there are different names for these four Varnas. but they all correspond to Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. So a person who lives by principles and is very strict about it, a person whose life is dedicated, the Bhagavad Gita 18th chapter, shloka number 42 speaks about the qualities of a Brahmana. The 9 qualities by which a Brahmana should live. So if one is living by those qualities, then he is called as a Brahman. And throughout the world, you will find some class of people who live by those qualities. Similarly, the next shloka talks about the qualities of a Kshatriya, 18.43. So always you will find such class of people. So by nature, the people who are resourceful, who are having that Ishvara Bhav, who want to maintain, who want to rule, manage, and administer, who have a lot of heroism in them, who want a challenge where they want to stand up to the challenge. So such people, they need to be guided by the Brahmanas. That's absolutely mandatory. So therefore, Maharaj Parikshit, after having selected Kripacharya for guidance as his spiritual master, he performed 3 horse sacrifices on the banks of Ganges. Point to be noted that only kings can perform horse sacrifices, nobody else. The common janta wouldn't perform because the kind of expenses which were incurred in doing horse sacrifices was insanely high. One had to distribute mountains of gold to perform 1 horse sacrifice. And Maharaj Parikshit did 3. And they were executed with sufficient rewards for the attendants. The basic complaint these days is, the Brahmanas, they feel that, oh, we are not getting proper remuneration. Some, recently I was called for some corporate event. And they were very much negotiating with the ISKCON temple that how much payment should be given for ISKCON devotees to come and take part in the event and do the Aarti and Kirtan and things like that. We said that, see, we don't want money, but then we want you to do justice. The people who want to organize such corporate events, they want to give 10 lakhs, 20 lakhs to book a hall, and they want to give 40 lakhs to Akshay Kumar to call them. I have nothing against Akshay Kumar. But then they should understand that they should give something to the temple also. So in Kali Yuga, the Brahmanas and they keep feeling that, oh, we are not getting proper remuneration. They are giving us 1 rupee, or they are giving us 1,000, and they are ready to give 40 lakhs to some film star. They are ready to give 60 lakhs to some cricketer. But the person who is actually helping to create auspiciousness by chanting the holy names, by distributing prasad, to them you want to fully bargain and you want to just crush them down and then give them as less as possible. So that was not the proper attitude. So therefore, in Kali Yuga, the Brahmanas always keep feeling we are not getting proper remuneration. But in times of Maharaj Parikshit, that was not the case. The Brahmanas had to say, please stop, Maharaj. That was Maharaj Parikshit. So the statement says, these were executed with sufficient rewards for the attendants. And at these sacrifices, even the common man could see demigods. Now, here comes the section of interplanetary travel. So first of all, this is confirmed that there are various planetary systems in this universe, and there are various kinds of living entities which exist. Otherwise, why will Krishna say, A Brahma Bhuvana Loka Punaravartino Arjuna? Sahastra Yuga Paryanto. Why does he make such statements in the Bhagavad Gita? That after 1,000 Yuga cycles, 1 day of Brahma is finished. Or from the Brahma Lok till the Patal Lok, wherever you go, the world is a Dukkhalayam Ashashvatam. So if Krishna is saying these statements, that means there is a Brahma Lok. That means there is a Brahma. That means there are various planetary systems. Krishna is talking about to Arjuna in the 2nd chapter that you will not attain the higher planets if you do this cowardly act. That means there is something called as a higher planetary system. And Srila Prabhupada tells in his purports that the lifestyle in such planetary systems is 1,000 times or 10,000 times better than that of Earth. In one place, Srila Prabhupada writes, the demigods, they live in the super excellent quality of goodness. So just like if the place has become very dirty, suppose if somebody likes to be clean, and if there is a particular place which is very dirty, one will not go there. So there is these demigods, they have a very mode of goodness kind of consciousness. And when they see that the residents of the earthly planet have become very dirty in their habits and in their lifestyle, the earth appears in Kali Yuga, the earth appears like a gutter to them. So they don't feel like coming. But that is not the case in Satyuga, Treta, Dwapar. There are great personalities who are staying. So therefore, the demigods want to come and participate. So in the sacrifice of Maharaj Parikshit, the demigods were visible to the common people also. That was the influence of Maharaj Parikshit. Suppose if you are a friend of, I'm just giving a hypothetical example. Suppose if you are the friend of, let's say, the son of a great businessman or a great cricketer. Let's take the example of Sachin Tendulkar. Suppose if you are the friend, Sachin Tendulkar's friend is your son. No, I'll not take any names here. I'll give you my own example. When I was studying in my college, the son of the vice principal used to study with us. Now, the vice principal is very difficult to meet. Vice principal or the vice chancellor rather of a university is a very difficult person to catch. Now, because his son used to study with us, so we had very easy access to him. So the common people or the common visitors in the college or in the university weren't able to see the vice principal, but because we were friends with his son, so because of that reason, we were very frequently able to meet him, talk to him, invite him to our class for guest lectures and things like that. So that was the influence which we had because the son was our friend. So similarly, Maharaj Parikshit was such a great personality that all demigods used to like him. Point to be noted, Maharaj Parikshit was not a devotee of any demigod. He was a devotee of Krishna. And because he was a devotee of Krishna, and because Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, so everybody used to like him. Now, there have been personalities like Ravana, there have been personalities like Duryodhan previously. Not all demigods would like him. But everybody used to like Maharaj Parikshit. So therefore, this proves that demigod worship is not necessary. Simply if one worships Krishna, that is more than enough, and one gets all the favors from the Supreme Lord and the demigods also. So if somebody becomes a devotee of Krishna, all demigods will be very pleased and give all their blessings, which is very much evident by this verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. Otherwise, why would the demigods be coming to attend the sacrifices performed by Maharaj Parikshit? And so much so that these demigods were actually, you need some pious credits to see demigods. They move around in their ethereal forms. And it's very difficult to see them. You need qualification to see them. Sometimes demigods may be there in the sky, but only those who are fortunate can see them. Or those who have the qualification to see can see them. I was giving the example in a class, or rather, this is a very famous example that Srila Prabhupada was able to see Narad Muni on various occasions, even once during Kirtan, he mentioned the name of Narad Muni. Once, when less number of people had turned out for a class, which was very pompously organized. So Srila Prabhupada said, "Why do you worry? Narad Muni is here. Put a chair for him." Like that. So not other disciples were not able to see, but Srila Prabhupada was able to see. So this means you need some high or purity in your spiritual consciousness to see things after a certain point of time. So it is not possible for the common men to see the demigods, but the influence of Maharaj Parikshit was so great that they were able to see these demigods also. That's simply amazing. There are some citations of demigods in Jagannath Puri. This reminds me of some pastimes of Jagannath Puri. So I had heard a pastime of Indra in Jagannath Puri, that Indra sometimes becomes transcendently greedy to taste Jagannath Prasad. So the name of our Indra is Purandara, and he comes down. And generally, when demigods come on this planet Earth, because they do not belong to this planet Earth, because they are having pious credits which are higher than the residents of planet Earth. So when they come to the planet Earth, they actually don't touch the surface of planet Earth with their feet. They are always floating in the air a little bit. So a very beautifully dressed person with a lot of, the descriptions come from Anand Bazar, the place where the Jagannath Prasad goes out from the temple. So the description is that a very beautiful, handsome personality, indescribable features rather, indescribable in a good way, with a lot of good smell and perfume, and a dress which was spick and span. Not even a single speck of dust on his dress was moving around in Anand Bazar. And everybody was, trying to look at him and getting a little bit attracted to him. And then he collected some prasad from here and there. And from the time when the time of payment came, when they asked him for the payment, he said that I don't have the currency which you want. So they said, what do you mean you don't have money? So he said, yeah, I don't have money, but I want this prasad. So the people of Anand Bazar, they told him, no money, no prasad. If you want prasad free of cost, go and stand near the Simhadwar. When devotees come out, if they like you, if they feel merciful on you, they'll put something in your hand. But then Indra said, no, I want this very badly. And then only Krishna knows for what reason that personality started running. Indra started running and people started chasing him. And then he ran so fast that nobody could keep up with him except the person from whose shop he had taken the prasad, Jagannath Prasad. So when he carefully saw whom he is chasing, he realized that he is chasing a person who is not running on the earth, but is moving above the earth. And then he said, stop, who are you? Reveal your identity. So Indra told him that, yes, I am Indra. And I had come to take some Jagannath Prasad. But then he said that, how will I trust that you are Indra? And what if I go back and tell that, yeah, I didn't get money from that person. The person who had come was Indra. So Indra told, okay, you go back into the Anand Bazar and proclaim to everybody that the person whom you just met was Indra. And as soon as you will make this statement, there will be a very heavy rainfall in the Anand Bazar. And you tell that I have told you to tell this. And that is the proof that it was me, Indra, who had come to take prasad. And next time onwards, when I come, please don't take money from me. So this shopkeeper, he went back to Anand Bazar and he told, see, the person who just came was Indra. He was not an ordinary person. He's the king of demigods. And he told me to tell you that he is such and such. And that he told me to tell everybody that when I will tell this, then there will be very heavy rainfall. And that will be the proof that he is Indra. And exactly the same thing happened, and very heavy rainfall came in the Anand Bazar. And then everybody said, wow, the demigods are also coming for Jagannath Prasad. So some people got amazed by it. Some people were simply awestruck by it. But some devotees were not awestruck by it, not amazed by it, because they said that every night during Bada Shringar, various demigods come to take darshan of Jagannath. So what's the big deal if one demigod came in the daytime to take some Jagannath Prasad? So that is a point, actually. Various demigods have been cited. And then coming to the yajna, the kings used to spend lavishly during such yajnas. And now, next what is coming in the purport is a very great lesson.
Thank you, Betu.
Devotees are requested to be on mute. And the next what is coming is a very great lesson for kings, rulers, leaders for any kind. It is said that kings used to spend lavishly during such sacrifices as cloud distributes rains. A cloud is nothing but another form of water. or the waters of the earth transforms into clouds. Similarly, charity made by the kings in such sacrifices was but another form of taxes collected from the citizens. Just like rains fall down lavishly and appear to be more than necessary, the charity made by the kings also would be more than necessary of the needs of the citizens. So that's how kings or leaders should be. They should take few things from the people and then they should spend it back on the people. A king has a right to take some taxes so that it is spent lavishly back on the people. Just like the sun takes water from the rivers and the lakes and the oceans and the seas and ultimately returns back very lavishly in the form of rain, that's how a king or a leader should be. If we take something from someone, we should return it completely. And this is very much valid in devotee association also. In devotee relationship, there are 4 kinds of love. Dadati, pratigranati, guhyam, akhyati, prakshati, bhungte, bhujayate, cheva, shadvidhi, priti, lakshanam. Not 4, but 6. If you are giving gifts, then you should take gifts also. If you are giving gifts lavishly, then you should take gifts lavishly also. If you are taking prasad from someone, then you should give away prasad lavishly also. If we are revealing our mind in confidence, then to someone and taking benefit by their guidance, then we should also become a guide to someone and give them that confidentiality when they reveal their mind to us. So whatever you get, you have to return back very lavishly. Otherwise, you become you are in debt to that person. Especially kings should be like this. If the one of the reason why the monarchy fell down was because the taxes which they were collecting, they were using it for themselves. Just like in our temple, in the ISKCON temples, the Lakshmi which we collect from the devotees, the visitors, the hundi, the congregation, we are very careful about it. We don't use it to lead a very luxurious life. No. We give it back to the society, or we give it back to the society of devotees and the society of non-devotees by doing a lot of book distribution, by doing a lot of prasadam distribution, by doing a lot of Harinam Sankirtan, by creating a lot of facility where devotees can congregate together and chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So therefore, karma doesn't come to us. Sometimes, a prostitute may come and put something in the hundi and go. Sometimes a butcher can come something and put something in the hundi and go. But because we are using everything in the service of Krishna, and we are not using it for our own conveniences or luxury or our own sense gratification, and because we are leading a life of tapasya, so we are able to Krishnaize the Lakshmi which is coming. So earlier, the kings also were like this. They were all Raja Rishis. They were all experts in giving back to the kingdom. Maharaj Ram is a great example. Dashrath is a great example. Maharaj Yudhishthir is a great example. And Maharaj Parikshit was the same great example. And lastly, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada has said that without guidance of a spiritual master, one cannot make progress in spiritual life. And then the spiritual master must be bona fide, and one who wants to have self-realization must approach the bona fide spiritual master to achieve real success. So this is nothing but the verbatim repetition of Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, shloka number 34. Tad vidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshinaha. If one wants knowledge, self-realized knowledge, then one has to approach a spiritual master, surrender to him, serve him, try to please him. After surrender and service, you get the right to ask questions confidentially and respectfully, submissively. And then when they get pleased by your surrender and service, and when they like your active involvement through questions, then they can reveal the supreme absolute truth to you. So until this gets fulfilled, the transcendental knowledge or the Divya Jnana cannot get transferred. Divya Jnana Hriday Prakashito. So it has to be transferred from the heart of the teacher to the heart of the student. There's no question where you offend your spiritual master or you disgust him or her or treat them badly, or criticize them, blaspheme them, not treat them according to the Vedic standards, and still expect that, oh wow, I'll get a great understanding of the Vedic culture or anything for that matter. A very great example has come to my. It's not a great example. It's a normal thing that anybody who is disrespectful to their teachers, they cannot progress up in life. One may have a lot of talent. One may work very hard. Talent and hard work may give you a good launching pad into a particular field. But if you want to really reach the zenith of success, you need to be a man of principles. You need to understand what are the values which are involved here. I repeat, talent and hard work can give you a launching pad. But if you want to reach the peak of success in whatever you're doing, whether materially or spiritually, you need to follow the dharma. Dharmo rakshati rakshitah. You protect the dharma, dharma will protect you. And Krishna has made it very clear through this verse. Now, before I go to the next verse, we have some time. Can we take some points, some reflections? What do you think? How did the discussion go? Is there anything which you liked about it? Some reflections, some points which you want to add, something which you agreed, something which you disagreed. It's good to hear from others also. Who would like to speak up a little bit? Okay, somebody has raised hand. Deep Malla Golani Mataji, you can please unmute yourself.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Prabhuji, right now you told that one should respect his spiritual master, and guidance of a spiritual master is very much important to get progress in spiritual life. That point I like very much. And then there are so many points, like 4 kinds of love amongst devotees. This shloka also you told. That also I like. And whatever we get from others, like especially from devotees, and we should return that also to them. Otherwise we will become debtful to them, and the karma will come to us.
Good point. You brought a very nice point of discussion here. Whatever we get from devotees, we should return back. See, the spiritual master, I'm just taking a discussion in a different angle. The spiritual master is also a devotee. You may go on mute, Deepala Mataji. This question is not to you, but to everybody. The spiritual master is also a devotee, and he has given so much to us. How do we repay the spiritual master? Would someone like to tell me? What is the way in which you can repay the spiritual master for whatever he has given us? Who would like to answer this? Sadanand Sachiputra Prabhu.
I have a way, Prabhu.
You have a way to repay.
There is no way, Prabhuji. We can, whatever we do, we can never ever repay the spiritual master.
Okay, but then you see there are some chat messages which are coming. Some Tanvi Mataji is telling by following his instructions. Suds Redmi is telling, I like the point. Okay, that's not related to this question. So by following his instructions, we can repay, right? My dear Guru Maharaj, you asked me to do these things. I did it. Now, aap apne raaste, main apne raaste. Why can't this be possible? Prachi and Vidhu are telling that by preaching Krishna consciousness. Yes, see, the answer to this question is that we can all try to repay. But then, as Sadanand Sachiputra Prabhu said, that it is not possible to repay what the spiritual master has given us. He has given us Krishna. So we cannot repay. In fact, spiritual life is meant to be always feeling the debt of other devotees in your life. The more debtful or the more indebted you feel, and the more grateful we feel in our spiritual life, the more we advance in Krishna consciousness. We should always feel that I can't give them sufficiently back. And in this consciousness, one should serve. What to speak of the disciple, even Krishna used to feel like this. When we will, I have a desire of covering all the prayers of Srimad Bhagavatam. So there is a very nice prayer called as the Venu Geet or the Gopi Geet. And Krishna is telling that your own service is your reward, my dear gopis. The devotion which you have done for me and showed to me, offered to me, I cannot repay you back. Even God likes to feel indebted. And in that indebtedness, he likes to perform various pastimes. So spiritual life means always feeling the debt. That yes, how much Prabhupada has done for me, how much spiritual masters have done for me, how much the devotee association has done for me, how much Krishna has done for me. And when we always feel indebted like this, and when we are fully convinced in the core of our heart that no matter what I do, I cannot repay back, so let me use each and every moment of my life to repay them, or rather serve them, not repay them. That is called as Krishna consciousness. And this is the meaning of the statement of, this is what Srila Prabhupada, this is what we should feel. If at all we want to follow the instruction of Srila Prabhupada told us never leave ISKCON. And that's a very strong statement. The day we joined ISKCON or the day we accepted Srila Prabhupada, we have become his dogs. Sometimes you beat the dog still comes back wagging its tail. Sometimes you give biscuit to the dog still comes back wagging its tail. So we are dogs of Prabhupada. And we should be fully convinced that no matter what happens to me, I cannot repay Srila Prabhupada back. I cannot repay ISKCON back. I cannot repay the association of devotees back. So, ahaituki apratihata, unmotivated, uninterrupted, and unconditionally, I am a dog of Srila Prabhupada and I will stay here for good. I had once met a devotee. I was very much inspired by him. He was talking to me during the time when I was thinking about joining the Brahmachari ashram. So I asked him that what should be the consciousness of a Brahmachari? There are ups and downs in life. There are mistakes. We are not infallible. We are not Acyuta like Krishna, who will never make any mistakes. And there may be a chance, I asked him, that there may be a chance that ISKCON may only throw me out. I may be debarred from coming to any ISKCON temple for having done something utterly wrong. In such case, what should I do? Like that I asked. I thought he'll give me some satisfying answer. But then he answered me that if ISKCON throws you out, you should go to some Krishna temple and do some service there and survive based on that service and live a life. But then you should take a vow that you should never go back to material life. That reply of his, I'm very grateful in my heart to that devotee who gave me that kind of enthusiasm. That yes, come what may, I will never go back to material life and I will always serve Krishna. Doesn't matter, even if things go wrong. This life is meant to serve Guru and Krishna. So we should be like that. We should always feel that there's no way, even if things go completely out of the track, still I should have that great gratitude and gratefulness in my heart. Even if the whole world is spitting at me, I should have that gratitude of being always grateful to Srila Prabhupada and always serving him to the best of my capacity. Right now, I'm being able to run on the path of Krishna consciousness. A time may come when I may not be able to run. Then at that time I should crawl. And if I'm not able to crawl, at least I should if I, whatever is possible from my side, I should do. That's the point which I'm trying to say. And always feel that we can never repay Guru and Krishna back. Any other reflections or comments?
Prabhu, I have a question.
Yes, please.
Prabhu, you said that kings used to perform horse sacrifice during that time. So
Yes.
this horse sacrifice means Ashwamedh Yagya or something different?
Yes. Horse sacrifice means Ashwamedh Yagya only.
Okay.
So the system is same, that the horse will go around everywhere in an unchallenged, undisputed way. If anybody challenges, they have to fight. And towards the end, the horse will be sacrificed. And then the horse will get a new body, either a young horse body or a body which is higher in the evolution of the 84 lakh species. So that was the potency of the Brahmanas. We read in Srimad Bhagavatam. See, I have full faith that Srimad Bhagavatam is not wrong. When the Bhagavatam says that yes, Bhrigu Muni created such kind of an army by chanting his mantra in the Daksh Yajna, I trust it. When I read that Twashta created Vritrasura just by chanting some mantras, I trust it. Similarly, when it is said that Ashwamedha Yajna or the horse sacrifice is happening, and by the power of their chanting of the Vedic mantras, the Brahmanas are able to bring back people to, and horses and cows back to life, I trust it. And that is possible. And that now it's not possible. Okay, moving on to the next verse. Next verse is the beginning of this chapter, actually. We have spent 3 verses just making the background. Nija grahao jasavirah kalim digvijaye kvachit nripalinga dharam shudram gnanantam go mithunam pada. This is the 4th verse. Once when Maharaj Parikshit was on his way to conquer the world, he saw the master of Kali Yuga, who was lower than a Shudra, disguised as a king and hurting the legs of cow and bull. The king at once caught hold of him to deal sufficient punishment. So I'll just read the purport and we'll discuss this in the next session maybe. The purpose of a king's going out to conquer the world is not for self-aggrandizement. Maharaj Parikshit went out to conquer the world after his ascendance to the throne, but that was not for the purpose of his aggression on other states. He was the emperor of the world and all small states were already under his regime. His purpose of going out was to see how things were going on in terms of the godly state. Please take note how carefully Srila Prabhupada has used the word. He didn't use the word orderly state. He used the word godly state. The king, being the representative of the Lord, has to execute the will of the Lord duly. There's no question of self-aggrandizement. Thus, as soon as Maharaj Parikshit saw that a lower class man, the purport translation says that lower than a Shudra, in the dress of a king, he dresses up like a king, was hurting the legs of a cow and a bull, at once he arrested and punished him. The king cannot tolerate such insults to the most important animal, the cow, nor can he tolerate disrespect for the most important man, Brahmana. Now, please listen to this very carefully. Human civilization means to advance the cause of Brahmanical culture, and to maintain it, cow protection is essential. There is a miracle in milk, for it contains all necessary vitamins to sustain human physiological conditions for higher achievements. This higher achievements means Vedic study, Vedic understanding of Bhagavad Gita. Brahmanical culture can advance only when man is educated to develop quality of goodness, and there is a prime necessity of food prepared with milk, fruits, and grains. Maharaj Parikshit was astonished to see that a black Shudra dressed like a ruler was mistreating a cow, the most important animal in the human society. The age of Kali means mismanagement and quarrel. And the root cause of all mismanagement and quarrel is that worthless men with the modes of lower class men who have no higher ambition in life come to the helm of the state management. Such men at the post of a king are sure to first hurt the cow and the Brahminical culture, thereby pushing all society towards hell. Maharaj Parikshit, trained as he was, got the scent of this root cause of quarrel in the world, and thus he wanted to stop it in the very beginning. So actually, this world tour of Maharaj Parikshit has a background. The background is that at one point of time, Arjuna was sent to Hastinapur to fetch the queens or the queens of Krishna who were not yet, who were still alive. Some of them, became sati. Some of them went for higher spiritual pursuits to the ashrams of various sages, but some of them still remained. While Arjuna was bringing them back, some of them were captured, and those who remained, they came back to Hastinapur. So at one point of time, these queens, they were feeling a lot of separation from Krishna. So Narad Muni advised them that you please go to Uddhava Kund. So those who have done Govardhan Parikrama, if you start with Radha Kund, and when you go all the way around, passing by there are various stops. On the other side, when you are coming, again about to reach Radha Kund, there is something called as an Uddhava Kund. So the Shastras say that Uddhava still resides there in the form of a creeper. So in the prayers of Uddhava had prayed that may I become a creeper in the holy land of Vrindavan because I do not deserve to be an associate of the gopis. I want the dust of their lotus feet, but I do not deserve to take their dust of the lotus feet. So let me become a creeper so that they will just stamp on me and then I'll become fortunate. So Narad Muni said that you go and do Harinam Sankirtan in that area, and then Uddhava will come and then he will tell you he will relieve your separation from Krishna. So when they did Harinam Sankirtan there, Uddhava came out from his creeper form into his human form and then started speaking to them something called as Srimad Bhagavatam. And Parikshit Maharaj was also there. So at that time, Uddhava told him that you please leave now. The world is in danger. Find out the root cause of this danger and fix it. And don't worry about this Bhagavatam discourse. In future, Lord Krishna will arrange another personality to tell you the Srimad Bhagavatam. So, leaving the queens there, Maharaj Parikshit went on a world tour to find out why there is so much disruption, why there is so much chaos. So he went across various countries trying to defeat the rulers, and he was trying to find the root cause. And then as soon as he saw this black Shudra, black man lower than a Shudra, dressed as a king, hurting the legs of a cow and bull, he understood that this is the root cause. Did you know that if you simply take care of the cows, the whole society becomes mystically happy? Mystically happy. Simply if you can protect the Brahmanas, like make arrangements for the Brahminical culture to advance. In one purport, Srila Prabhupada says that, give sufficient remuneration to the Brahmanas, give them sufficient number of dhotis, give them sufficient amount of rice, give them sufficient amount of cows, so much so that they are relieved of their anxiety to get roti, kapda and makan. If the Brahmanas are relieved of their anxiety to get the roti, kapda and makan, and if the Brahmanas know what it means to be a Brahmana, then the Brahminical culture will advance. Then they will dedicate their life for Pathan, Yajan, Yajan, and all the qualities, 9 qualities which Bhagavad Gita says. And along with that, if the cows are maintained, then the world will become mystically happy. And this is what Lord Krishna also wants. Namo Brahmanya Devaya, Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha, Jagad Hitaya Krishnaya, Govindaya Namo Namah. So when Maharaj Parikshit found out this person, he immediately decided to kill him. And then what happened next, we will read in the future verses. And the detail of this we will discuss in the purport in the next session. Why Maharaj Parikshit let him live is the discussion of the entire chapter. So on that note, I would close today's discussion. I will take another 3 to 4 minutes just to see if there are any questions or comments, suggestions. Anybody wanted to say something or contribute something to the discussion here today?
Prabhu, again, I have a question. Sorry.
Yes, please go ahead, Mataji. Asking questions
Prabhuji,
is a sign of intelligence.
Prabhuji, like there are many breeds of cows nowadays, like some foreign cows are there. in
Many.
breeds, foreign breeds of cows.
Yes, yes.
So are they also worshipable?
Cow is cow. I don't see much difference in the nature of a cow from foreign breed and a cow of a desi breed.
Hmm.
They are all in the mode of goodness only. I'll give you an example. In the Goshala, in the outside ISKCON Kanamangala Center, there is a Goshala. So some cows there are desi, some are videshi. I have got I got some time to keenly observe them. All the cows sleep at the same time. They are not awake till 11:30. And then all the cows are sleepy in the morning. But during the time of Mangalarti, you see that they start chewing. In Hindi, they say jugali karna. So they start the jugali. And irrespective whether they are desi or videshi, they wake up at the same time. They eat in the similar way. It's not that the desi cow is more docile, more gentle, more humble, and the videshi cow is like hitting all the time, not giving milk. No, I don't see much difference. There is a propaganda. I know there is some kind of a propaganda that these videshi cows are not proper cows and not worshipable. But Srila Prabhupada never made any distinction as such. Wherever he went, he took the milk from the cow which was available locally and drank it. That means cow is cow. So let's not get into that propaganda that yes, this Jersey cow is not a proper cow and this Desi cow is only the proper cow and this and that. No, cow is a cow. And for any cow to be good, if we can just maintain the cow nicely for 3 generations, the cow will get rid of all the health deformities which it may have due to various reasons, mistreatment or whatever. And the formula is that if you let the cow to be happy for 3 generations, that means the cow's child should be allowed to drink milk very nicely without any beating or cutting or something. And if this continues, if the cow feels that I'm in an environment where I'm safe and I'm protected and my children get sufficient milk from me and I'm not exploited and I'll not be sent to the slaughterhouse. If the cow feels, then, and if this happens for 3 generations, then the cow becomes perfect in its health, in its genetics, and the best thing will come out. I mean, in a course of 3 generations. So every cow is worshipable. Otherwise, Srila Prabhupada would have mentioned in his books. If he has not mentioned in his books, we should understand that every cow is worshipable. On that note, I would like to close today's discussion. Thank you very much. See you again next Friday. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.